So tell me about that. Tell me why
Well, the career's been
relationship coaching specifically.
You know, Tola, as I started, I wanted to really work on help people communicate with body language and, you know, that
Right.
kind of stuff. And then I suddenly realized with this program, this transformational program that we work with, that it gives people possibilities. So I then spoke about the power of possibilities. But then as I started coaching people, I realized most of the people, everything evolved around relationships, mainly husband, wife, mainly looking for a husband, never been married, uh, having an affair. And suddenly I realized that relationships were massive, and even work
Yeah.
relationships were
Yeah.
huge, where your manager, your director never acknowledged you and made you
Yes.
feel insignificant, or you would go on, you know, they would put you on a performance review program, and not giving many reasons. And very often it would be a young manager with an older subordinate. So these kind of things. And then slowly I turned into relationship and life transformational coach using the same method.
And I'm glad that you've shared that, because and that was going to be my next question. If you can share some of the interesting stories, that you've come across in your relationship coaching.
Yeah, you know, Tolik, relationships really are taboo. People don't talk about the issues, they don't share their issues. And what I found specifically with men and with women particularly, they don't understand their body. They do not understand their body. They do not understand their physiology.
Yes.
Even educated women. So, I'm going to go, but a vagina is a vagina. What is the role of your clitoris? What are the roles of hormones? What are the roles? And this is my fourth book that I'm doing in a lot of detail, the role of each phase of our lives. Because when we talk about intimacy, people immediately think about sexual intimacy.
Yes.
But sometimes women just want to be held. I said to
Yes,
this man, have you ever
say.
just held your wife? He said no. So I said, try it and let me know. And he held her the whole night because he told me he's got a lot of sexual energy. And I said, that's really what puts women off when you charge, with your phallus, and they think, oh no, not again. You have to, it's got to, foreplay is underrated. So it's understanding what a woman needs and understanding what a man needs, understanding love languages. So Tola, for me, my love language is when somebody does something for me. That's my biggest love language.
So acts of kindness is your love language.
Acts of kindness, that is my big love language. So a man, very often what they do is they buy gifts. And then women will say to me, but he never spends it, he doesn't care. All he thinks buying gifts is going to do it for me. But that's his love language, and she doesn't recognize.
I so love that, because just the other day I was having this very discussion with a friend of mine about love language, right? And I was saying, okay, so I was attending a webinar, and this lady was teaching about same thing, love language. And also, so her thing was, the problem is we want to be loved the way we love, right? So if my love language is acts of kindness, that's what I expect from others. Meanwhile, you are in a relationship with someone whose love language is different. So she was saying, what you can then do is give yourself love in the way that you want to be loved, so that you don't constantly look for it from the other person. So now I'm talking with a friend of mine and I say, okay, I love attention. So if you're in a relationship with me, give me attention. Even if you shoot me a message in the middle of the day, I don't like long phone calls. So don't call me and sit on the call for a long time, but shoot me a message to make me know that you're thinking about me. For me, that's giving me attention. So then I say to my friend, so then how do I give myself attention? How do I give myself love in this way? So she says, Tola, go stand in the mirror and be like, I love you, Tola. You have beautiful hair.
Yeah, exactly. So you that is so cute, because you basically want that man to spend time with you, give you attention, sit and watch a movie, have a discussion.
Yeah.
So they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah.
And if women want gifts, you know, then they feel loved. So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting thing. So this other client I was telling you about, so what he suddenly realized, he blamed everything on his wife, but he'd never made her feel significant.
Yeah.
And if a
Wow.
woman doesn't feel significant, and like you are saying that, make me feel significant, give me an attention. And once you understand that and you involve them in decisions and conversations, which he wasn't doing, because he came in as the victim, but suddenly realized what he wasn't doing and what he
Exactly.
could be better.
So
So
for me,
it's
it's
love
two
language.
things. So for me, then, I mean, when we're talking about love language, I love this topic. It's actually, it works both ways then. So it's very good to understand the love language of your partner, you know, so you can understand how they want to be loved. But it's also good to then give yourself that type of love that you expect from your partner, because then it kind of frees him or her from the pressure of having to do the things that are not necessarily his love language. So for instance, if I want to be told that I love you and my partner cannot say those 3 words, and it's not because he doesn't, he just cannot, it's not his love language. So then I can always stand in front of the mirror and be like, I love you, Tola.
I love that. Yeah, because he said, now why must I say I love you? I do all of
He
this for
doesn't
you. I
get
support you. I do that. I
exactly.
do that. I do that. So what's wrong with you? You know I love you.
And that's the
But you need,
problem.
women generally need to hear that. I need you to say I love you.
So then if a man really, really cannot say it, because I know people who really cannot say those words.
Yeah.
Then
Then
what
you've got to look at what they're doing for you. What are they
Yeah.
doing for you? And
Yes.
that's the way he expresses his love.
Amazing.
And then you've got to work out what he needs from you
As
and
well.
understand that's how he loves you in the best way that he can.
Geez, this is such an interesting topic. I love this.
It's an amazing topic. It's an
Yeah,
amazing
and
topic.
it's quite broad. I mean, we can spend all day talking about it. But I also like, just before we're going to wrap up soon, I also like the fact that you touched on other types of relationships, not necessarily romantic ones, because we have relationships with almost everyone around us, right? And you touched briefly on a relationship with, you know, manager, with subordinate or whatever. I don't like that word. I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way.
I hate subordinate, so a team
Yeah,
member.
maybe.
Say a team member.
Team member or team member. Yeah.
When I said subordinate, I felt sick.
I know.
Because I wanted to get away from that in
No,
corporate
absolutely.
as well. So
I used to
it's your
work
team
in
member. You're
research.
part of a team.
You know, when I worked in research, people were just starting to move away from the word subjects, because participants were called subjects. The subject, the subject.
Person.
Was that, you know, people were starting to move away from that. But anyway, you touched on that because that is so important. If you are spending up to 8 hours a day at work and you have a terrible relationship with your manager, you know, it totally makes life very difficult for you, right? And so I think it's also important to learn how, not necessarily that you want to know your boss's love language, but just to learn to navigate that relationship so that you can be comfortable.
Tola, that's very important, because with the many conversations I've had is letting people understand what they can control and what they can't control.
Yeah, yeah.
Because once you let your boss, who doesn't acknowledge you, who doesn't thank you, who doesn't greet you, who just barks orders at you, that never says thank you, you can't control that. And you're going to feel miserable and unhappy.
Yeah.
And what I would say to them, what are your values? Because they would say things like, I'm not going to greet Tola because she doesn't greet me. That is wrong. What are your values? What were your taught? I was taught
yeah. And some things are just good manners. It's just basic.
Yeah. And just continue with your manners.
Yeah. And again, I love the fact that you're touching on greeting as an example, because that was such a big thing for me. But then I learned to navigate that when I was still working, you know, the 9 to 5 job, office job, because in my culture, greeting is very important. It's very, very important. You walk into a room, you greet. You meet someone on the street.
Our culture as well.
You greet. And it's a way of acknowledging the person. I see you. It's a way of saying I see. Even the Zulu sawubona greeting says, I see you. I acknowledge you, you know, your existence. So when you don't greet, it's like you are totally disregarding me, as if you don't even see me. So I had that manager who used to just walk into the room and just start talking like, hello, hi, yeah. Hello, let's start there. And she never saw anything wrong with not greeting. So we had to have that discussion. But again, you know, if you are in a workplace and there's different cultures, you learn, you know, to navigate that, and you learn to respect each other's culture, and yeah, somehow find common ground. So this is a broad topic, relationships.
It is, Tola. I think if you look at corporate now, I'm sure you'd agree with me that it's become so task focused.
Yeah.
There's so much pressure where people have to do and produce more with less.
Yeah.
That very often the managers are just focused on getting the job done, and then they've got to pick up the pieces of people that are shattered.
Yes.
And in my podcast, because of that experience, I talk about the smile of it, you know, the power of a smile, the power of a hug,
yeah.
the power of acknowledgement, the power of looking at somebody when you speak to them.
See, that's another.
Do I actually look at you and say, good morning, Tola, how are you today? Just hi, how are you? And
so that's another cultural thing that we had to talk about in my previous jobs, because you know, you may not know this, but in the Zulu culture, which is my culture, staring a person right directly, you know, in their eyes is a sign of disrespect. or not disrespect, what's the word? It's like you cheeky.
Intimidation,
yeah, like you are being cheeky, especially when there's an age gap. So a younger person is not supposed to stare directly into your eyes because it's being cheeky. And so we grow up with that, you know, knowing we're not supposed to stare back at the adults and all of this. And then we get older and we get to the workplace. And then in the workplace, I work with Rose, who comes from a culture that says, if you're not looking at me, you're being shifty. It means you're hiding something.
Look at me when I speak to you.
Look at me when I talk to you. Don't look
away. At me. Yeah.
You know,
it's a big thing, Tola.
I only learned as an adult, seriously, you know, to learn to look people in the eye. And, you know, even now I do it, but I don't do it like 100% of the time. I would still look away, whatever. But I've become good at it over time, you know, now mixing with different cultures. And yeah, so all of these things, they all speak to relationships. My friend, I want us to set this up because we are now 40 minutes in. But before we wrap it up, and because this is such a broad topic, I would love for us to invite the Imtiazis and the Rishanas and Mariam.
Because we can have a whole conversation.
Have a really nice discussion, because it's different cultures, right? Like it's the whole rainbow of South Africa.
Yes. So you remember Imtiaz after I was on the call where he said, I can't wait to tell my parents I was on the stage with an elderly white woman. Do you remember that?
With an elderly white woman.
Oh, it was lovely. No, it was so sweet. I really understood where he was coming from. I've been around too long. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so my friend, last words. What nuggets can you leave us with? 1, 2, whatever.
Okay, Tola, I just want to say that the most dangerous trap we fall into as human beings is looking back. You know, the trap of looking back at an unhappy relationship, an unhappy marriage, an unhappy work environment, an unhappy career. We keep on looking back and we keep on talking about what we left behind. And here, you know, you meet people that talk about it for the rest of their life, you know, what they did to you. talking about what used to be. And then we become, our biggest enemy is talking about what can be is what was, if only we could. So the biggest enemy that we have as people is what you can have. Of what we can is what we had, you know. So stop looking back. 1972 is gone. 2019
Stop
is
looking
over.
in the rearview
2020
mirror.
is over. Yeah. So Tola, I know that you're 39. You're 40. Yes. I just want to tell you, Tola, you will never be 39 again. It's over. It's gone. It's done. So just move into the present. Move into the present. Stop looking back. Look at where we are now. Looking back, we can understand where we got to now. So look where we are now, and let's build a positive, incredible future.
Going forward.
That is the trap we all fall into. So get out of that trap.
I love that. And I love the fact that you've always seen me as 39, and 39 is what I will remain. This is
even
my
if you're 40, but
and I'm
subconsciously accept the fact that you're 40, Tola. You'll never be 39 again.
Anyway, okay, thank you so much, my friend. I so appreciate you. So now, how can people get a hold of you if they're looking for your services? Or yeah,
okay, they can just they can look on Facebook or LinkedIn, or type in Rosemary Giralt. It'll take you to my website, to my podcast. You know, all the information is there. So Rosemary Giralt. Thank you so much, Tola. It's been amazing speaking to you.
I love talking to you. You lift me up. You lift my spirits every time I talk to you. You are my unpaid coach.
Fantastic. And you are my unpaid inspiration. You know, amazing things you do.
I'm glad.
Such a talented, beautiful woman. Thank you, Tola, and thank you everyone for listening. It's been amazing.
That was Rosemary Giralt, life coach and relationship coach. Bye. I love you so much. Blessings.
Bye, everyone. Love you lots. Thank you.